and they weren't done, in fact.
Correct.
Well, now,
it's worse now.
we looking backwards, and let's look forwards. You now know Ms. Rock has given you this list of things that need to be done in order for the city not to condemn it, or move to condemn it. And so you've been lucky enough to get a reprieve for 30 days because we don't have a quorum. And so you have that list from Ms. Rock. Let's have those done within 30 days. And is there any confusion you have about what was in her email?
Well, it's my email that has a list of things that I mentioned, and they wanted a date, and I said by Thanksgiving. So
That was too far. That was after the fact.
yeah, that's
Simple
fine.
put, we'll resend out the emails again with her attached and everybody attached to it to see what we specifically asked for and what she said she would provide. And then that would give us an indication on what we need to do or where we need to go from there. The reason for this meeting was to give her time to understand what the process is and how things would work so that she would not be condemned. But, I mean, this has been an ongoing process. This isn't something that started
It really doesn't
6
sound
months
like
ago.
it. Yeah, well, it sounds like Ms. Rock has been more than thorough in her communications with you about what we need. If you want to meet those requirements, you can. If not, then the city will do what the city's going to do. And we'll respond, we'll just deal with the application that's presented to us next meeting. But we just want to make sure that you are clear that you got the email. What that email contains is between you and the city, and that's not. And so if you have any questions about it, I'm sure Ms. Rock will answer them. But as long as you got it, that's between you and the city. I don't know what else to do.
So when you say me and the city, you mean Ms. Rock's department?
That's a
City
city
of
department.
Natchitoches.
No, I understand that. Okay. So I don't know how to ask for information about the process if it's not given to me. Like,
The first
You don't
process-
need to have any information to ask a question. So if you have a question about the process, just ask it. What's your question?
okay, well, we met like, I don't know, mid-July.
I'm not talking about things going backwards. The question is going forward.
Well, if I'm
about-
asking for more time, backwards is relevant.
It's not relevant to me because I didn't have anything to do with it back then. I'm just telling you, going forward, you've gotten 30 days to complete this stuff. Is it things that are physically incapable of being completed in 30 days?
I would have to look at the list again, but I had,
We're talking
I had
circles.
offered a time, and there was
What Ms.
no,
Rock is saying is that you have until this, what I guess, I'm not privy to the email either because that's a city planning zoning. But she's saying by a certain date, you had certain things that needed to be finished or addressed. And you were coming to the commission tonight evidently to ask for an extension. Well, by the
For the
fall, you have
contract.
a month. But what I'm saying is I'm going to predict the city is going to put forward an application for condemnation on this building at the October meeting. And if you haven't met the standards that Ms. Rock's office has given you to meet by the October 7th meeting, we're going to be presented an application for condemnation and basically tear down.
Whether or not we approve that, I have no idea.
no idea.
We're 2 votes of 5, I guess. And so we don't know.
so that's the Historic District Committee specifically and
The
not
city of
City
Natchitoches, or
Council?
was it planning and zoning, will determine condemnation, but the Historic District Commission will render a decision supporting or not supporting condemnation of the property.
We have to approve the demolition of any properties in the district, and so,
So condemnation comes first, then demolition comes second.
well,
But condemnation will come from planning and zoning, but it'll have either support of the commission or no support from the commission, this commission.
Okay, so
well, I can probably,
am
I
I
can just tell
permitted to
you
make
that-
my own, presentation as to why we should be allowed to
We don't have a
restore
quorum,
it?
so there's nothing to
No,
discuss.
not tonight. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
in
but
30
think then, yeah,
days.
you would.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have an opportunity to be heard.
Because we printed pictures for today. I mean, some of the things on the activity list have already been completed, so.
Good. No, I mean, I don't know, I don't know enough about the process, to be honest with you. You probably need to go see a lawyer, but the decision on whether or not to condemn solely within the city's purview, and I don't know who in the city, I don't know if it's Rock or somebody else, will make that decision, whether or not you want to make your case to them about whether they should or should not condemn it. That's before it gets to us, all right? Our question will simply be, do we want to approve the city's request to demolish the property? And I would suspect we probably will, but I can't speak for us. But I think the time to show that you're making progress is going to be well before the October meeting, and that's going to be to the city. And so if you're making progress, you know, make that case to the city, and it never gets to that point. So, but that's my thoughts.
I think what's happening is that you're presenting to the wrong group. You have to convince the city of Natchitoches not to condemn the property, which would be planning and zoning. We're demolition. We're the demolition.
I don't mean to sound stupid. Does that mean I have to have more conversations with you, Ms. Rock? Or is there a team I need to talk to?
So at this point, you have been given 30 more days
Right,
to at least get the front yard clean and have a contractor in place.
right. I'm not 100% confident, based on my experience in the last, 5 to 6 weeks since we met, that I'm going to be able to have a contract. I feel it's reasonable that I should have maybe 3 to choose from.
We're not I don't think Ms. Rock is asking you to have the work done.
No,
with
a signed contract.
But it takes all of an hour to enter into a contract with somebody to do work
It's
on
not
it.
No,
a contract, it's a contractor.
No. That's what I was told. I have a witness.
That you want to go
And
enter
it's in
into
the
a
email that I
contract with a
was sent, that I
contractor?
needed to have a signed contract
You
by the
need
end of
to have
August.
a contractor to be on premise to give you step by step what you needed to do to bring your house into compliance and get it stable.
Right. I
And
was
then
told
based
a
upon
signed
that-
contract. That means something different than just having
Okay.
talked to contractors.
All right, we're not going to argue semantics. When did the tree fall on your house?
A year ago.
Okay. I understand the city's frustration. I mean, that,
So do I.
and look, nobody can affect a tree falling on the house. You can't stop that. But, I mean, obviously, you can't dispute that house is not suitable for habitable purposes. I mean, that's just, and a year is a long time for it to be in that condition. And so it's not as if the city's coming to you 30 days after a tree fell on your house and telling you to fix it. This thing's been like that for a year. And so, you know, it doesn't take a contractor to clean up the yard. And if you've got your yard completely clean and you have hired a contractor to do the repairs, I suspect Ms. Rock is not going to pursue condemning the property. Now, if you don't do anything with that contractor, and she might be back at you to condemn it, I don't speak for the city, but, you know, it takes no time to go hire somebody to agree to do repairs on your house. We're not asking you to have the repairs done, but
I
you've
think
got.
the first part is just simple stabilization, but that again is not I'm just saying, I think that's what you've got to start with, the stabilization of the property.
I think you get the yard cleaned up, you're gonna show a lot of good faith and go a long way into showing the city that you're gonna
Serious.
actually repair the property.
I absolutely agree. And most of the work that we have done in the last year has not been on what was a priority to us to continue with the work, but what I realize is we should have started elsewhere. So, I mean, is it helpful if I show all the work when I come next month?
Yeah, I would be prepared to show what you've accomplished, and what your plans are to complete the repairs.
But
to the
what Ms.
property.
Dunham was saying is very clear. I'd get the yard cleaned up for her. That, to me, is priority number one, because that was spelled out clearly from Ms. Rock's
Oh, yeah.
office. I would say between now and October 7th, the first thing you need to do is have the yard cleaned up.
That
Right,
takes
we're
a
working on
weekend
it.
To do that.
But you also have a tarp on top of the house and a big hole in the middle of it, and rain is pouring into it.
It wasn't when we left. I think that the person I paid to retarp took it off first, and I didn't tell him to do that, but anyway, it's just another
But that's where the
problem.
city is coming in. It is a safety hazard.
Do you
But-
think this house can be salvaged?
Yes.
Okay, the perspective that I have from the bird's eye view, maybe I just don't have a good perspective of it, but it looks like it's pretty.
Driving by it, it looks like you've got a huge expense just in simple stabilization. I mean,
It's
just the
really only
drive-by
one
is-
corner of the house. I have been educated since we got back that it is not, we were working up until July. No, actually, through June, with a contractor who gave me an unrealistic, I guess, quote, and he dealt with the insurance company, and, it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. I can only say we apologize for the appearance. We haven't done our job keeping up the outside for many years. That's on us. It's going to change, but I can't even make a decision financially if it makes sense for us to fix it, because really no one wants to do it. Roofers want to put roofs on. They don't want to do the structural work. So I've exhausted the contractors that were recommended to me, and I know I'm going to have to go outside now, unless someone thinks of more contractors.
But that's where your defense comes with the planning and zoning is, they're gonna ask the question, is it salvageable?
I believe it is. They gave me an amount that I didn't want to spend, but I will spend if we have to,
The contract.
But they still haven't given me a contract,
Okay. All right, well.
and that's two of them working together. Because roofers just want to do roofs. That's where the money is.
Well, I would take the email that you got from Ms. Rock's office and I would follow it. You have a month, you have an extension, you were coming for an extension, we basically got one by default, so you got a month to move forward with the directions that you were provided. Because again, the city of Natchitoches is going to put forward an application to planning and zoning for condemnation.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I don't miss any meeting that I'm supposed to be. Is this is the HDC meeting that it will be brought up at? It's not city council?
Planning and zoning would not deal with the condemnation. We wouldn't condemn it. Ours would be an application for demolition.
Should be the first Monday of next month.
You've got to first stop, you first have got to prevent condemnation. Ours is demolition.
So the condemnation will take place, which goes to city council. And then after it's approved through city council, then it'll come through HDC. So you will still have time. You just need to get started or move forward
Okay,
on cleaning the property and getting the contract.
yeah, we have.
I've never known
It's-
Ms. Rock not willing
Exactly.
to be as thorough as possible in explaining stuff to people. So even though I know she's probably done it multiple times with you, I'm sure she will resend you the email and answer,
I
within
wrote the
reason.
email, so she doesn't have to send it to
Within
me.
reason, answer your questions again. But at some point, if it's because you don't like the answers, that can't be the reason the stuff doesn't get done. But we don't control that. We just control whether or not we're going to approve demolishing the property. And so I hope it doesn't get to that point, and I hope you can convince the city not to condemn it.
Okay, so before we leave tonight, Ms. Rock, can I just get the next date?
So next
that
first,
There's a meeting that I need to be at?
So-
Our next meeting is the first Monday of
It's
October.
October the 7th. But you have, again, to deal with the city in terms of condemnation. When will that be picked up for review by?
So the way that I see this happening, because Marion was here working on this, she understood what our processes were. We'll get back together, we send out an email, giving her 30 days to at least get the front of the yard, start with the contractor, give us something to show for why we should not move forward with the condemnation. Have that ready for our next meeting, which is October 7th. If by October 7th, she hasn't cleaned the yard or have given us an indication that a contractor is wanting to work with her or giving us an idea of where we need to go in the process of getting the repairs done, then we'll take our next steps.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a very high hurdle to jump, to clean your yard up and to enter into a contract.
Secure a contract.
To perform the work. If that's all that's being asked of you to prevent them from moving forward with condemnation, that ought to be something you ought to be able to accomplish, and so.
I would agree if it's the front yard. Yeah.
Well, the whole yard.
Well, there's a side yard that's,
Well, the yard, when I say
Well-
yard, I
The
mean
yard.
front, rear sides, the yard.
okay, it's 3/4 of an acre, so
Uh-huh.
this isn't just a little yard. So,
Exactly, but that's why. the
That is gonna be a
seriousness of it,
challenge.
It is a significant sized property.
Yeah.
And that's a significant liability on everyone around it.
That can be cleaned up in a weekend if you pay it. You might not want to pay the money to the people that will do it, but that's not an excuse that I don't think you want to bring to us in 30 days, that I didn't want to spend the money to hire. That amount of debris can be removed in a day if you pay enough people money. You get a piece of equipment out there, you pick it up, you put it in a dumpster, and they haul it off. I mean, it can be done. You might not like what it costs you to do it, but that's not, I don't mean to be rude or insensitive, but that's not really our issue.
I understand that, and I understand that just driving by, you can't see the bones of the garden that was there, and I'm not gonna just get it, mowed.
You make your
Leave.
choices,
That's
and
the
we'll
decision.
react to those decisions that
And
you
that's
make.
decisions you'll have to make. But I mean, look, driving by it, I've not restored a home before, but I'm already looking at $100,000+ just to stabilize it. But that's a decision you're gonna have to make.
Right.
But you have a property, look here, that is very large and expansive and very dangerous.
It's just not fair to your neighbors.
It's not fair to the neighborhood,
Yeah.
but it's dangerous.
And a year is a long time. So I don't mean to be rude, but I think we spend as much time on this as we can.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we have Washington Street. And you've been working with Ms. Salter, and I'm not gonna make you wait another month. We're gonna put it into committee with Ms. Salter as the chair,
It's already there, yeah.
and allow Ms. Salter as to represent the commission, or what Ms. Gahagan would call a committee of the whole. And allow resolution of the project to work through them so that he doesn't have to wait a month.
So the issue is, it's completing a permit.
If,
Who is this? I'm sorry.
it's,
943
yours.
Washington.
What property is it?
but
When we know what size it's gonna be, we know everything. The only thing she had an issue with is we said that there was gonna be, aluminum siding, because there's aluminum siding on the house, and y'all don't want aluminum siding, no big deal. We're gonna put the
You
small
return the house.
siding on it, no problem whatsoever.
Okay.
The color will be white, the door will be black.
you need to, with Ms. Salter, you need to put all this in writing.
She's got it all, emails have been sent.
It's gotta get into the Historic District Commission office.
We'll call Mary.
We'll get that
Yeah,
done
y'all
for you.
think so, y'all should have that, but you should have copies of those emails.
What I have is not accurate according to what our standards for HDC, and Ms. Salters looked at it. It's incomplete.
What's it lacking?
What's it like?
It was, he has a drawing of what he wanted to present. There's no elevations, there's no actual descriptions of what he's putting on the ground.
Well, I can show you when I sent that elevation to y'all's.
What I have is just a hand drawn. I don't have anything else.
Ma'am, that's all we're gonna do. We're not paying an architect to draw the plan.
Okay, so on your elevations, it needs to show everything.
I mean, three sides of it are the same, only elevation is gonna be.
She's gonna go get the application that you presented.
What?
The application that you sent, the email, she's going to get that now so they can
Okay.
see that, even though we can't vote on it. But Ms. Miriam is working with him on what's being required, and she suggested for him to submit certain things to us, which we have not gotten.
I can give Ms. Salter the authority to act for the commission, but she's going to require of you certain things to be submitted for her to be able to approve them on behalf of the commission. And we can, in October, ratify her decisions.
Gotcha. Well, I'm assure you that I'm not gonna build anything that is gonna make, put mud on my face or mud on your face.
Well, it's a Sugar House. I mean, we've worked with them for years. It's just we've got to follow the guidelines of what is submitted and when, so.
That's Ms. Donna, that's my tech.
What's the street?
That's what I have. That's
933
what I have.
Washington.
That is not okay.
That's all we have for our application.
So that's the slab that's gonna be built on, so you can see the size and then.
So you're in what's called new construction, and that's what's happening, is that's what you have submitted,
Is this the email?
and that's where. So that's the. Okay, this garage built, same size existing slab, that makes sense, it's just.
And then there's the other email that's in here, you may want to read that, but I mean, it's just, you can read it. That's also what she has sent to her.
So this is-
That's everything.
And I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because I went, this is for a garage, right?
That's right.
Okay. And this, it's gonna, we know the size of it because there's an existing slab there.
That's right.
Okay. And this is the front
That's right.
of it, and we know the materials of this.
With the LP small, that.
All right. I don't want to contradict anything Marion said, because I'm not privy to those conversations, and I don't, but it would seem to, I mean, I don't.
What we're saying is that when Ms. Salter has the authority on behalf of the commission to get the project to completion, but she is gonna require, I know she's gonna require certain things of you.
Right.
And she's gonna communicate with the commission office, you need to, turn them in.
I got you.
And then in the end, she's gonna say, okay, we're good to go, and she'll tell Ms. Rock's office to go ahead and make the approval so a permit can be issued.
Gotcha.
And then we ratify it in the November meeting.
Right.
I mean, I'm just thinking out, and I don't want to contradict anything Marion said. I would think the things that she would ask would be like, what are the dimensions of the doors? What's the roof gonna be made out of?
She answered the 10-12 roof pitch, so I see that. The height will be 14 feet. The wall height, she's just,
It's 9 foot is the wall height.
you know. I don't know what she's outside asked for, because I would say, that's why I'm saying, since we don't have a quorum, we can't really decide, but I can give Ms. Salter the authority to act on the commission so that she can approve while y'all work through this issue so that you don't lose any time, but you've got to submit the appropriate material statements. If she's asking you a certain type of siding, like she's asking, I guess that was a picture of the siding you're not going to
And
use.
that's what she said she didn't want, so then I
So y'all
took her.
changed that.
Yeah, and I took.
And that's the kinds of things that have got to be documented.
Smart,
in the
I don't
office.
think that we can require I don't know if we can. I just don't want to contradict Marion. I don't
That's
think
what
you
I'm
have to
saying.
have an architect design a garage.
No, you don't have to do that, but you have to have a somewhat drawn elevation that, and you've kind of got between
Answer the
that and
questions
this,
that you would
you're
write
answering the
down.
questions.
Yeah.
But when you do a dimension, you would put it all on one document.
So you're like, right, this door is gonna be you know, do the measurement there, the width there.
Sometimes people will do is they'll actually say, I'm gonna put that door, and they'll have the picture of the door that they picked up at Lowe's, I'm making stuff up, and they attach that, so we say, well, that's the garage door. It's gonna be painted
Yeah, they
stone
give the
white.
paint samples.
So we go Sherwin-Williams 615, stone white is gonna be on this. The trim is gonna be this. That's which, it's almost like a recipe list of everything that's gonna be
Sounds
on
like you
that.
have that information, I just don't know.
Like your roof, it's gonna be a certain type of roof, and it's just, that's all Ms. Salter's asking. That's why I'm saying, rather than sit here and make you wait and she's not here, let her take control of the application and get all of the stuff submitted on your behalf to the office. And then when she says, okay, we've got everything we need to go with it, she's gonna let Ms. Rock know, we're good from the commission standpoint, we'll ratify in October, issue a permit. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's not, the problem is not the problem, just let, work with Marion, and that way it doesn't get stalled. And she's got all of us to reach to if she needs direction or, I don't wanna say backup, but in other words, are we making the right calls? That's easy enough to do, so you're not gonna lose any time. And then she can notify Ms. Rock to issue a permit from the city.
I'll make sure and she's, all the questions that she had, she wanted or needed, she has those, I just need to send them.
And to be honest, she may have, and I'm not saying, I'm not being critical, because I do the same thing. After she got all the answers to the questions, she might came up with another question in her head that she hadn't thought of, and so I don't know. That's why I don't want to speak for her.
I got you.
She just wrote me and said, I'm out, of course, the guy from Washington Street will probably be there. Work out something for him, I will help him.
There you go.
So that's why I'm saying she's gonna work with you, but let's put it in committee with her as the chair representing the committee as a whole, and that way you can get your decisions, and she'll just say, process, and we'll get you done.
She's got all this, so.
Yeah, if she needs something else, she'll just call her and see if she needs anything else. If not, she'll approve it.
You send the same email?
Yeah, send it to Ms. Donna.
Thank y'all very much.
Sure, man. I'm sorry we're not in quorum, but we will not make you wait any longer as a result.
Thank y'all.
All right, buddy.
Okay, do we have anything
We
else
can act on.
that we can even act on?
I think Councilwoman Rose, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
It's pleased to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
I have a question, about the, cones that's in the historic district part where the restaurant is located
They need to know what restaurant.
at, Queen's, Barbecue. I was trying to think, because it looked like a crime scene.
Oh, on Texas Street.
Yeah, it's in the historic district, and more than saying that he can't take it off, but more than, can we get him where he can just put a rope and make it like?
She's asking about what can he do to block off his area instead of using the yellow cones and the crime scene
Didn't he
tape.
come to the commission, or was that someone else that came to the commission and we talked about the chain and then?
No, that's across the street behind Onyx with the storage area. This is Sweetie's Barbecue across the street.
Yeah,
Is
it's
over
in
by
it's
the
in
old
district.
cable place?
Yeah,
He's not in compliance if he's doing that. It's kind of like putting a sign up and saying it's a temporary sign, but it's a real sign. It's,
so he has yellow tape and,
We've been coming into some like, conversations and stuff like that with parking, not saying nobody can use, but more than let it be neat, with
oh, it needs to be professional,
It needs to
yeah.
be done.
For each individual, like the, Altima, more than, they all have their cones and stuff, more than try to put something that is gonna be nice, neat, block it out.
A formal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the appropriate thing would be for us to send a letter to him, asking him to appear at our next meeting to discuss the parking lot and the signage in the parking lot.
okay.
And then we can
And we're
formulate
being
a plan.
consistent because we dealt with next door to Onyx Aaron's. I keep thinking of Aaron's, but it's the storage. We worked with them and they came up with a formal, and we went back and forth trying to, so they would look decent and keep the integrity of the property. And it worked. I was thinking we were talking about the same property, but across the street, it's in the district. And, they have an obligation to do it correctly and keep the integrity of that part of the district intact, yes.
I really appreciate it.
Hope
If we get a letter to him to appear, but he may say, why am I appearing? It's because they're not in compliance with, their, with parking.
Signage rules for the
And
parking.
the manner in which they're blocking, the lot. And they said, where, give us an example, look across the street with how we worked with them, and some chain, you remember it was the wrought iron fencing?
Mm-hmm,
But, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
gotcha.
But that, yeah, we can answer that question without quarrel.
All right.
Y'all have a good
See you all.
Thank you.